Years ago, I sailed on a missionary ship in the South Pacific. One day, we were scheduled to arrive at the port in Fiji. It was always exciting to arrive in port, and we gathered on deck hoping to catch our first glimpse of the city. But the fog was so thick that we couldn't see 50 yards, and we were still moving pretty fast, so I assumed that we must still be a long way at sea. If we were close to land and in that fog, surely the captain would slow down. But suddenly, just off the rail, I saw a buoy and a shallow reef, and I was surprised that we were already inside the bay. I realized that day that the captain had navigation instruments that I didn't know about. Despite the fog, he knew exactly where he was and what was ahead. Well, that's a good illustration about life. In life, there will be times of fog, when it's hard to see and we don't know what is true or who to trust. And we need to have some reliable truths to tell us where we are and what we need to do. The Bible tells us that we walk by faith and not by sight. Sight is limited. It can even be deceiving. If we walk by sight, we will end up on the rocks. We need a navigation system that is more reliable than sight. Today, we want to start a series of lessons about the fundamental truths of our faith. These are our basic beliefs about God, about people, and about eternity. The Assemblies of God has identified 16 of these truths, and because they are super important and they serve as foundations for our lives, we call them fundamental truths. Now, some people call them doctrines or creeds or tenets of faith, but it all means the same thing. They summarize what we believe about God, about people, and about the future. These truths work like the warning buoys in the harbor, marking the shallow places and showing the way to the safer spots. They help keep the sailor safe. If you're going to be a minister of the gospel, you need to know what the gospel is. If your car is broken, you take it to a mechanic, not a carpenter. If your teeth hurt, you go to a dentist. And when you sit down in the chair, you see the dentist's diploma on the wall, and you know that he has some training in how to fix teeth. You wouldn't want to go to somebody who is not trained. Well, it's the same with being in the ministry. People expect ministers to have some basic training in the Bible and in theology. The people that you're going to minister to have real needs, spiritual needs, and you need to offer them real solutions. I'm not saying that you need to become a scholar and a theologian, but you do need to be familiar with the most important truths. And so, we are providing you these brief lessons on our fundamental truths.